To hello, dreamers, doers, believers, and achievers. I'm Dwayne Shigg, and this is the Encouragement Conversation. I forgot to get my prop in time. See, my mint. Encouragement Conversation. And we are here to push you, to encourage you, to strengthen you as you pursue your goals, go after your dreams, and just help you on your, as John Maxwell calls it, success journey. And I am grateful for those of you who are with us this evening, morning, afternoon, whatever part of the country you may be watching us. But we are grateful that you are here. And our goal is to give you something that's going to help you write one more line, go one more time around the track, get up one more time than you've fallen. My goal is to push you. I've been called a dream pusher, so that's what I do, and so that's what we're here to do today. And we've got some guests here to help us with this conversation right now. We have my brother Terence L.Shgg. He is an author, a therapist, and he's a pretty good little brother also. He just bought me a present a couple weeks. Well, never mind. I'm getting personal, so I'm trying to keep it professional. And then we have another guest joining us shortly, Pastor B.J. King. He's going to be with us on this conversation. So briefly, Terry, introduce yourself briefly and tell people what you do.
Well, I'm Terry Shigg or Terence Shigg, just depending on how the mood hits me. And as you said, with the last name like that, I have multiple professions or multiple hobbies, I guess you would call them. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in California. I'm also the chief operating officer of an organization called Anybody Can Youth Foundation. I'm an entrepreneur. I recently started a business consulting corporation with Billy Moore, who's the son of the light heavyweight champion Archie Moore. And that's a business consultation organization. And then we've also started delving into alkaline water sales, which we refer to as mongoose water. So those are some of the things that I do. And I'm also a therapist for an organization called Anaya. And it's a kind of a telehealth online therapy company. It's a new one. I think it launches next month. So I just started that too.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, tonight's show, the topic was birthed by a chapter in, let me see if I get this right. This book right here, my book called Go Get It, Stories and Steps to Seize Success. There's a chapter in there called Stop Waiting and Start Creating. And I wanted to delve into that topic tonight because oftentimes people are just waiting around, as an old joke by Richard Pryor, we're waiting for 11:30. They're just waiting for somebody to rescue them, waiting for somebody to give them a shot, waiting for their dream, their ship to come in. And the people that know me, my brother can tell you, I'm not good at just waiting for people to do stuff for me. Well, none of us are actually. And so tonight, what I wanted to do was to talk about the idea of not waiting, but start to creating, and not just, not only from a business perspective, that too, but from the perspective of creating what I need to get to the next step, creating the right attitude, the right frame of mind, overall business, relationship, health, but also since we're in the situation we're in with the COVID-19 and the stay at home, some people are waiting for the government to say, okay, I can go outside again, waiting for a stimulus check, waiting for this. And so want to help people move away from just waiting. What to do while you're waiting, create an opportunity in all of those sort of things. And so I want to ask, dealing with the people, the clientele that you deal with in your therapy with the children, sometimes people are waiting for somebody to rescue them. Have you experienced that personally or in your with your clients? And if so, what causes that? Or is it, if you can pinpoint it, to talk about what brings that up.
I think it's multiple. There's multiple layers to it, but I think a large portion of it, and I've experienced it myself, and I've dealt with people, friends, family that have been in this mode, and I like to call it survival mode. Okay. And when you're in survival mode, you're figuring out how you're going to eat. You're figuring out how you are going to do something, some simple survival thing from life. So you can give that person the best opportunity in the world. You can tell them, you know, what the next numbers to the lottery are. You can give them any kind of thing that you think is, you know, this insightful wisdom you can bestow upon them, but they're not going to hear it as long as they're in survival mode, because survival mode takes up all the bandwidth. So, and I've experienced that, and sometimes it's not on purpose. It's not as if the person doesn't want to be successful. It's not as if they don't want to go out there and do these things. It's just their focus and their energy is being consumed by what they feel as a threat, meaning I have to figure out how to put food on my kid's table or on my table, or I have to figure out how to get from point A to point B when I don't have any money, or I have to figure out what tomorrow is going to bring in this time of confusion and uncertainty, that I can't hear that other information right now. I don't want to hear about dreams. I'm dealing with reality. And they get in that, so entrenched in that mindset, that all the suggestions in the world, until you get them out of that, they're not going to go anywhere. So what I found is one, you have to recognize the reality of it is, okay, yes, this is a situation that must be dealt with. But on the other end of that situation is thinking about the things you're going to do will actually help you get out of that situation. It is kind of like a flower blooming. It's like they have to come to this realization that in order to get out of this, something must be done. Be it the government has to do something, something must be done in order to change this circumstance. Now, once you can convince them that they have a say-so, or I would say remind them that they have a say-so in what that thing is that needs to be done to get out of that situation, then you're off and running, because then that creativity comes out. And that's the challenge, is to get them, because you can't create, I shouldn't say you can't create. It's less likely for you to create something new in that survival mode, because you're going off of all your old information of ways that have gotten you out of things before. And that's your playbook. You're going with what you know. You don't want to try anything new. You want to try what you know. And so getting them to expand that playbook to go, okay, there's more things out there. You have to get them out of that survival mode.
And so you say you have to get them out of survival mode. And so how do you do that to get them to see that? Well, first of all, how do you do that? But also you mentioned something very interesting, getting them to see that there is an option and that they can do something about this. Right. How do you get a person to see that you have some control, or you have something to do with this?
It's more of not even getting them to see, it's more of getting them to realize that they are already doing what you're trying to get them to do.
Okay.
Meaning they already have control over it. You have control over whether you're breathing. You can just hold your breath. So you have some sort of control. So those little reminders to get them to see that, okay, you are controlling your situation now, no matter what all these outside influences are, you have a level of control. You made a choice. And if it's in a therapeutic situation, you made a choice to come here, sit down, talk to a stranger about something that's going on. So you have some level of control. And the more examples that you can come up with of things that you do control, the easier it is to recognize that, okay, now I can get outside of this box and find some more things that I can do and I can control.
So it's not necessarily the idea of convincing them that they have control, just showing them that they can use it to better their situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And again, our focus is on creativity. Stop waiting and start creating. Do you, based on, you're dealing with people, you're a creative person, you played sports, and in sports you got to be creative because you played basketball. So sometimes when you start a move, you don't know what the end result is going to be. So you create it in the air, basically.
Right.
Does everybody have creativity? Because we're talking about creativity, stop waiting to start creating. But if you don't have any creativity, what are you going to do to get out of the situation? So from your experience, therapeutic or experience in dealing with people, even the worst player on the team has some creativity, doesn't he?
Yes, I believe. I mean, everybody has creativity. I mean, we were created with inborn creativity in us. That's just
Okay.
it's just what level. It's just like anything else. Just like any muscle. Everybody was born with muscle. Some people have more muscle than other people, but that's through exercise, diet, through routine. Same thing with creativity. If it's something that you don't exercise, then it's going to be less readily available for you when you want to use it. So to get to that point where you're more creative, you have to practice it. You have to exercise that muscle just like anything else. So yes, I believe everybody is creative. Or I'll even go so far as to say I know everybody's creative.
Okay.
Uh, it's just how much confidence do you have in your own creativity, and then how much have you exercised that creativity throughout your lifetime so that you can go to it at any moment, as opposed to not being sure about it, guessing at it, wondering if you can do it. But if you know that, okay, yeah, this situation came up when I was in that game and I did this, I went this way and this guy jumped in front of me and somehow I ended up doing a 360 and making it, that's just instinct. But that's creativity. But that's through repetition. The Michael Jordans, the Magic Johnsons, every single one of them will tell you that those creative moments that they came out of were born out of repetition, from being your body and your mind and everything being remembering something similar and creating something new based on that similar situation in practice, in a game before, seeing it on TV, seeing it in film. That's what breeds creativity.
Okay. When did you realize, discover that you had creativity, not just in an athletic way, but athletic, business, and what are you laughing at, man? Intellectually?
No, because the answer that popped into my head was it was probably third grade, and we had to write a story. And you know how much I was into basketball at that time. I wrote a story about a basketball that was a detective, not a basketball player, a basketball that was a detective. So it was probably around that time that I realized that I had some creativity, just a little bit.
Creativity, that's what you called it, creativity.
Yeah.
A basketball that was a detective. Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, okay, creativity. You may recognize, or you may call it creativity, but other people may call it being out there-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you help people accept their own creativity when somebody else is calling it stupid, or somebody else is calling it that don't make no sense, or anything like that?
Right. Well, and I think that's it depends on the person, but I think the general agreement that everyone sees and recognizes is that there's two sides of things. There's a logical side and the creative side. Even if you go into medical science, there's a creative side of your brain, there's a logical side of your brain. And it tends to be the left and the right side. There's the hemispheres of the brain. So those things are already there. So to me, I think what I generally do is, if someone is a logical person, I will simply explain creativity to them in a logical means.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's someone who is a planner and they need, checkpoints, and they need schedules and all those things, that's great. Then you realize that you are still creating when you're creating that schedule and that plan, and you're still using creativity. So in order to exercise that creativity more, let's schedule and plan whatever your goal is, that we can create the realization of that goal. You're using both sides of your brain. You're doing the same thing. So it's not so much as convincing them. Once again, it's just using their mode of communication or their way of thinking to open up their mind to another way of thinking.
Okay. And I said earlier that, sometimes people are waiting for the right opportunity. I know for a long time before I, you know, wrote my first book or did my first speech, just wishing and waiting. Okay, I don't like this job. I don't like being in office job type situations.
Right.
Waiting for that. What would you say? What would you say people need to stop waiting for? There's a line from a George Clinton song that says, people keep waiting on the change, but don't have sense enough to come in out of the rain.
Right.
What is it that people just need to, in terms of life, business, making it through, and even in this situation that we're in, what is it that you would say people just need to stop waiting for? I mean, Superman's not coming.
Right. And I think, and as you know, my brain is a little bit different. So it's more of, and I'm more of a towards person. So I always think of what to do and rather what to stop doing. And
Okay.
so that's just the way I translate things in my head. So when you say, what do you need people to stop doing? To me, it's more of what do they need to start doing?
Okay.
And that's the idea, because people would say, or that old saying, fake it till you make it. Well, okay, well, not necessarily, but I understand what they mean. They mean start doing something that is indicative of that desire, dream, idea that you have, rather than just sitting there waiting for it to happen, because that's not how things happen. And you can go from their experiences. How did you get from grade school to middle school? You had to do something. You had to show up at school, do your work. How did you get on the basketball team? You had to do something. You had to practice. How did you get that job? You had to do something. You had to go to the interview. You had to fill out the paperwork. How did you get the promotion? So it's not necessarily to convince them to stop doing things, because I think the more that you're doing the right things, the things that get in the way will go away automatically.
Oh, wait a minute. Run that back.
The more that you're doing the things that get you to where you want to go, you'll recognize that those things that are getting in the way no longer have a place. There's a book that I read called Nutrition of the Mind. Guy wrote it, I want to say back in the 50s or 60s.
Nutrition of the Mind?
Yes. And one of the things that stood out to me when he talked about is, the healthier you become, the less that things that are unhealthy even taste good to you.
Ooh.
So it's not as if you are, okay, I'm just going to diet and never eat those things again. You no longer really, that desire to have those things lessens, because your palate, your taste bud, your mentality, everything is starting to change.
So if I eat more broccoli, I'll want less brownies?
I don't know about you, but yes, in general.
If I eat more broccoli, I'm going to want less brownies. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
You're going to want more broccoli and therefore have less room for more brownies.
Okay. Welcome, Pastor BJ King. And we're
sorry,
in our
man.
Don't worry about it. We're going to jump right in. We're going to jump right in. We're talking about getting people to recognize their creativity and things to stop doing, or what people should stop waiting on, stop waiting and start creating. And my brother was saying it's not necessarily to get people to stop doing, but to start doing certain things, and having people to deal with their creativity. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. We're talking about creativity, and that gets you out of things. Sometimes I don't know if people recognize their creativity, because I push people, I encourage people, I make people laugh. I never considered that as creativity. It was just, me being silly in high school, or me making people feel better. And most people that follow me know the story of one day in high school, there was this young lady who we knew she broke up with her boyfriend. And when you're 16, that's the end of the world. And so my brother, Kenny Johnson, he came and got me and said, man, I got a job for you. And my job was to cheer her up. Now, I had no idea that was an idea that was part of creativity. But to get people to recognize that they have creativity and they can use it, I want to ask you, Pastor BJ, you're in the business world, but you come from the music world, creativity. When did you realize or discover that you had creativity?
When I was a young man, actually when I was a kid. How you doing, brother, by the way?
All right, how you doing? Good to meet you.
I'm sorry, forgive me for being late, fellas.
No worries, no worries.
No problem.
I didn't realize I could always sing whatever I wanted to say. Even as a young kid, I didn't know anything. I didn't know the term ad-lib.
Oh,
I
okay.
just knew that I could make things rhyme. I could come up with things on the fly. And so it used to be the way, like you were going to encourage the young lady. It was the way that I kept friends, girls. And so people would call me to hear me sing to them, and I could do it. You know, I want to tell you, baby,
right.
the changes I've been going through. I would do anything to emulate what I had heard.
Okay.
On the radio. So, you know, if you a young black kid and you have real black parents, they played music early on Saturday morning, and that was the sign to get up and start doing your chores.
There you go. Oh, that happened in your house too, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I learned to love music from a very young age. And I learned to repeat. And I would not only repeat, I can go into the voice of the particular artist, the Bobby Womack's, the Luther Vandross, even the Anita Bakers, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And so my mother would always scream from her room to my room, "Shut up, I don't want to hear all that noise."
Right.
But anybody that didn't live in my house had a genuine appreciation for the ability. And it made me know from a young age that I knew something that everybody didn't know. I had something that everybody did now. To cultivate that into something that changes lives and all that, I didn't catch on to that until late into my 20s. And so even though I worked diligently and very deeply in the entertainment industry, I never ever had a desire to be an artist.
Really?
No, sir. I've been offered four record deals by major record labels.
Well, how you get this how you get this record right here and all them other records
Yeah. Well, I have them all around my office now.
Yeah.
Used to be around the house until Mama said, "I don't want to see that everywhere."
Okay. Right.
So, but I got those because I have a company called the Cure Network. The Cure Network really stood for Christ, You Are Everything. But that was the company that I formulated to introduce new artists to the average culture.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, you have a major record label like an Interscope who just signed their #1 artist or their new artist, 50 Cent. But they don't know how to market 50 Cents to the mass media, to the greater Americas.
Okay.
So they hire people like me who has a cultural background and who is very well known in the colleges, very well known in the clubs, so on and so forth. They hire us to introduce, if you will, kind of sign off on this new artist to come out. And so because we had something called the record pool, there was many DJs connected to the record pool.
Right.
And I know you have some insight in the entertainment world.
Right.
Many DJs connected to the record pool because we were all good with DJs. So we could take a 50 Cent who started off the #1 most hated artist in the world and turned around to be the most loved because we introduced them to the DJs, and the DJs are the ones who really run the music business. So if I bring something to you at KJLH at 1580 K-Day and you tell everybody I'm getting ready to play the next smash and let that out, everybody's going to follow what it is that you believe.
Oh, okay. Now you going back, you bringing up memories, talking about 1580 K-Day. You bringing up memories, Steve Woods and all of them cats.
Hey, man, all them cats, man.
Yeah. Now, as
can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that when you said how you realized it at a young age. And when you asked me that same question, one of the things that came to mind to me is the cool thing about it is everyone, and I won't say everyone, I say most people that are creative
I think I know where
always
you're going.
had encouragement.
Had what?
Had encouragement. They had somebody recognize what that gift was, even if they didn't recognize it, and encourage it. Be it friends that said, hey, come on over here. Be it friends that said, hey, sing that. Or be it somebody that said, hey, that's a nice story that you wrote. We've always had someone to encourage us.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I didn't recognize the gift. I didn't recognize the
Right.
encouragement, because when Kenny would have me come and go over here and encourage this girl, or when we're, you know, hanging out and
Right.
I'm making people laugh, and somebody said, Shigg, tell that story about, I didn't recognize that as a gift, and I didn't recognize it as encouraging.
Right.
And so people now, in dealing with, okay, wanting to get out of their financial situation, wanting to get out of their situation of sameness, if you will, as it relates to life and goals, but also right now in this situation that we're in.
Yeah.
And I think I asked this question before, but how do you get, no, I didn't ask it this way. I want to go with Pastor BJ and then you, Terry, because from a spiritual perspective, and then from the therapeutic, a therapist's perspective, how do you get people to recognize, or do you even try, that that thing that you have is your gift, and you can be creative? You have creative ways of doing that, and that will get you, and I think you alluded to it earlier, Terry, that can get you to, as Tony Braxton would say, unbreak your heart. The thing that you want to do something, but you've already got it. How do you let me know that my ability to make people laugh and smile is something I can use for money, for business, to keep me from committing suicide? Pastor?
I've always been asked this question because I'm not part of a fellowship, if you will. I'm not part of a denomination per se. You know, I don't have those kind of ties. I kind of, you see, you watch me, you see I do things different than most clergy, right?
Right.
I'm not part of the clergy club, if you will, right? Because I've learned that demonstration is better than conversation.
Woo! And wait a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I can show you better than I can tell you. And I think that some of the very things that we aspire to, if you will, like some of the we want to be so, my old pastor would say, we're so holy that we're no earthly good. And meaning that I can't teach you if I can't reach you. And so if I alienate you because you smell like liquor, or you smell like weed, or something like that, I can't really help you if I hurt you.
Right.
You follow me? And I think that the religion side of ministry has done that, and it's made us follow suit, because unless you're in a robe or unless you're in a collar, you're not considered the authentic elite man of the cloth or woman of the cloth. And I think that my church is made up of 100% of church hurt people.
Okay.
Church hurt people who have had some experience somewhere in somebody's church and was looked down upon or shunned or pushed out or so on and so forth, right? And so I've learned that if I meet you where you are, like Jesus did,
okay.
I come to where you are, never mind that I'm up here. If I come down to where you are and I take off all this stuff and be reminded that when God rescued me, I was in the same place that you were in. See, it's something, because we're taught, don't go where you used to go, don't do what you used to do. So there's no way you're going to go into the strip club and try to bring somebody out, because we've made ourselves so sanctified that we forgot that that's where God found us.
So to help a person see that they have, I don't want to say worth, but they have this gift of creativity. So in order to let them see that, okay, you can use this to get out of your situation, economic, relationship, whatever, trying to create a good atmosphere. So we'd have to change our modus operandi. We have to change the way we do things, basically, to
Right.
reach the person.
Well, the largest rap female artist right now in the world is who? Now, I know you're probably not a fan of rap, but
I'm not. I have no idea. Cardi B.
Right.
Yeah.
Cardi B was a stripper.
Okay.
Cardi B was a stripper, and then somebody saw personality in her.
Okay.
After she got off the pole, if you will.
That sounds like a sermon, Pastor.
Say it again.
That sounds like a sermon after you get off the pole.
I'm gonna leave that one to you. But what I'm saying to you is, somebody saw beyond what she was doing at the time.
Right. Okay.
So Jesus, remember, Jesus had all of these criminals around him that he spoke life into.
Right.
And they became, let's talk about Paul, right?
Right.
Paul wrote half of the stuff we live our lives by from prison.
Right.
Because the Lord allowed him to.
Okay.
Right? So what happens to somebody who is a stripper, right? But somebody spoke life into her and showed her, you know, if you wasn't doing this, or if you had some time, I could really not point you in the direction, but I could walk with you into the direction. So that creativity that you're speaking of, that lives in so many of us, the reason that it never manifests and it comes to real life is because nobody ever walks with them and shows them. So when I say demonstration is better than conversation, I can show you by walking with you better than I can telling you. If you go down and make a left on Lincoln and then go 3 steps, tap on the 3rd house, right. It's different than me going with you. And Jesus was one who walked with us.
Okay.
From the spiritual standpoint. So how do you bring out the creativity, as you call it, or bring out what's on the inside? You not only identify it, but you journey with that person until they find it. I've watched it 10, 12 times with superstar artists who came in. Snoop, for instance, was a dirty little skinny kid that was from Long Beach, and every opportunity, they stayed in the studio because they didn't have no place to go. They lived there. And every day they would say, BJ, I'm good for some chicken, cuz. Meaning, can you give us some money to go to Popeyes across the street and get us something to eat? Now, Snoop is one of the largest, and I'm just using rapper. I'm using people that everybody will be able to relate to.
Right, I got you.
Say the same thing about Hezekiah Walker. I could say the same thing about John P. Key. So right. I'm just saying that until somebody journeyed with them, right, that potential may never, ever be awakened. They used to tell me, or the bet was, he's not going to make it to see 21. I'm 52 years old. I've been a homeowner for 33 years. I've taken care of all of my family and all that stuff. So who knew what I was going to turn out to be?
Right.
If they'd have cut me off back then.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
I got
the potential and all this stuff. You wouldn't have welcomed me on your live if I'm still out on the block gang banging or crippled in a wheelchair because nobody helped me get out. You get what I'm saying? And so it's somebody has to speak to. I know it sounds cliche, but we got to start speaking to the king and the queens in these people that we look down upon in order for that creativity to come to life.
Okay.
It's just like if you say something negative, if somebody says something negative to you, Pastor Shigg, the only thing that gives it life is your response.
Okay.
That also works in positivity.
Right.
Same scenario. Something positive, the only thing that's going to give it life is you responding to it. If that makes any sense to you.
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. We are in our world, our country, we are in a never before seen situation right now. And I alluded to it earlier. Right now, we're waiting for the change to come. We're waiting for somebody to tell us we can go back outside. We're waiting for a stimulus check, and I mentioned earlier this line from George Clinton's song, people keep waiting on a change, but don't have sense enough to come in out of the rain. And so right now, I want to help people get out of the situation of sameness, as I call it, with their life. I remember I spent most of my life being frustrated.
Okay.
I didn't really start doing anything in terms of productivity, writing, knowing I could do something till I was mid-30s, because I grew up insecure. I grew up with low self-esteem. I grew up with a father that never said he loved me. And until I understood his history, I recognized that he never said it, but he was always showing it. Our father was not the kind of person to walk around saying, I love you, but he made sure we ate. He made sure we knew how to be men. He made sure we knew what work was and responsibility. So once I understood that was love, and realizing he'd tell everybody else, he'd brag on my brother, the one here, and my older brother, he'd brag on them about being basketball players.
Oh, I didn't even realize this was your brother. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I see
my
them.
brother. Yeah, he'd brag on them about being basketball players, and my brother that passed away about being a gymnast. And so all of this, I'm not realizing that I can use something so that I don't have to wait on a stimulus check. It's nice to get it, but I don't have to wait for it. In other words, I could use it, but I don't have to have it. And so I want to help people right now to not wait as late as I did to start writing their book, doing their business, coming out of their shell or whatever. And so I want to ask both of you, Terry and then Pastor BJ, what experiences have you had in terms your own experience coming out and recognizing your creativity, or helping somebody else? What would you say to one of your clients, Terry, or a neighbor or someone, to help them see that they don't have to sit around waiting for the stimulus check, or they can create the atmosphere of advancement, as I call it, while they're waiting? I hope I'm making myself clear. What do you say? How do you help somebody do that so they're not just stuck, you know, as I alluded to the Richard Pryor joke, you know, what you waiting on? We waiting on 11:30.
Yeah.
You know, how do you help people navigate that?
There's several different ways that you can do that. And sometimes I refer to it as time travel sometimes. Meaning, and I love the way that you put it, Pastor, when you talked about meeting people where they are. And you meet them where they are so that you can walk with them to where they want to go. Now, you can know where they need to go and think you know where they need to go, but it don't matter until they want to go there.
Right.
So, and I go back to thinking about those times when I was encouraged, and thinking about coaches that I've had, thinking about teachers that I've had, thinking about our parents. We've always had somebody encourage us one way or another, and those things stand out. And one of the ones that stands out to me is I had a basketball coach by the name of L.Shgg. He's my high school coach. And one of the things he said about me in an interview was that I make the people around me play better. That's the best compliment anyone as far as basketball has ever given me, because that was always my mindset. It was always a team effort. It was always about making the team succeed, not about me or my statistics. Okay. I've just never been that way. So that was always a good compliment to me. So if you say, how do we get people out of that? One, we encourage them. Somebody has to encourage them. Somebody has to meet them where they are. And if you really want to go deep, that person that's looking for somebody to encourage them, go encourage somebody else. Because I guarantee you, if you start going out and encourage other people, somebody's going to come around and encourage you.
For encouraging people.
For encouraging people, or just by the nature of the way things work, you will move into different circles if you are exhibiting different behaviors. And the circles that you want to be in are those ones that are encouraging, those that are showing positivity, that are doing things that are moving people forward. Okay. And if you're in those circles, it's just a natural thing that you're going to be encouraged and you're going to start doing the things that you want to do. And that's, people always say, sometimes I have to remind clients, okay, I can be abstract and I can be specific. That's abstract.
Okay.
Specifically is encourage yourself. Start telling yourself that I'm made in the image of God. I am a creation unlike any other. I am special and unique. I've been put on this earth to complete a task that I've been uniquely qualified to do. You tell yourself that every day and then see what happens.
Okay.
So you can encourage yourself. It's not like you have to go out there and find somebody or wait for somebody to come encourage you. You start encouraging yourself, and I guarantee you that person will come along.
Pastor BJ?
The blessing and the curse.
Okay.
When you do that, when you're not enough, you're going to be looked upon. And when you're more than enough, you're going to be looked upon. If you're under-encouraged, you're looked down on. If you're over-encouraged, you're still looked down on. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is a couple of things that I want to say. There was a young man that called me one day and he says, hello, is this BJ? And I said, yes, it's BJ. And he gave me his name, and I won't really reveal his name. And I said, hey, what's going on? He says, you might not remember me, but you were good friends with my dad. And I said, okay, well, what's your dad's name? He told me his father's name. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? I didn't remember the son, but his dad and I were very close. And I said, so what's happening with you? And he said, oh, I just, I had to call a couple of people to get your number. And I wanted to talk to you about something. I said, okay, cool. What's going on? He said, nothing, just sitting here getting ready to blow my effing brains out. Right? And so I said, okay, well, why are we going to do that? And he was like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, why are you going to do that to me? Why you call me to do that? So that'll be my last thought of you. Why you put us in that situation? Right. He says, I don't understand what you mean when you say us. I said, well, you called me and invited me into your circumstance. Now I'm a part of this, right? And I said, so tell me what brought about this? Like, well, this is what and then you went through channels to get my number to include me in this. Tell me, how do I deserve that? Oh. He says, well, you know, I heard you speaking at this funeral and I could really relate to you and all that. And so you called me to put me in the mix of this. And he says, I said, so what's the real story? And he says to me, I promise you, my father, who always worked, we never wanted for nothing. We never needed anything, but he never kissed me. He never hugged me and never told me he loved me. And I said, my friend? He said, yeah, never, not one time. And so I said, wow. And so now he was going through something in his own parenting life. And he's done everything to not be his dad. Right. And it still went to the left. You see what I'm saying? Right. So he thought that his growing up was because his dad was a certain way. He was the exact opposite way, and it still ended up the same way. You follow me? Right. And so I said, are you hungry? Have you eaten? He's like, I beg your pardon. I said, have you eaten? Nothing deep. I didn't hit him with Jesus and all that. He was like, well, I could eat. I said, well, where you at? He said, I'm in Encino. I said, okay, I'm in Rancho Cucamonga. Okay. How about you meet me at Roscoe's on Gower? Okay. He was like, when? I was like, right now. I'm going to leave right now. He says to me, I promise you, you're going to leave right now? Yeah, right now. So I go to Roscoe's on Gower, meet him on Roscoe's and Gower. Oh, and I told him, by the way, bring that thing. Okay. He says, okay. We meet there, sit down. I looked at the menu, started ordering. He looks at the menu, and started ordering. I said, did you bring the thing? He was like, yeah. I took the thing, put it in my pants, ordered a number 9 with a soft waffle and some scrambled eggs. He sat there and we ate. And then he started to cry. And I said, why are you crying? He said, because my dad never had time for me like that. He couldn't just take off. Right?
Right.
Why am I sharing this? Because I had to go meet him where he was.
Right.
I could have very easily walked out of there, got into my car on Gower, turned left on Hollywood Boulevard, got pulled over, got caught with the gun, blang, 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 blang. But it was more important to save the young man's life, to go meet him where he was in his situation.
Right.
Because I had to stay connected enough to not forget that not long ago, his situations were my situation.
Right.
So how do we bring the creativity, as you will? How do we speak to the inner person and rescue that person? They got to be able to see it. Remember, this man tracked me down.
Right.
Why? Because I'm not like everybody. I don't have that sameness that you're talking about. Okay. I'm a little different. I wouldn't get on. I just came in the house. I was doing appointments. I'm running late, but I still took the time to go put a jacket on because I don't want to ever be looked upon as, oh, they all the same.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So when I do weird stuff to clergy who be looking like, well, I would never do that. Exactly.
Right.
Because I'm the one that's ministering to your suicidal members. I mean, they find me.
Right. Right.
You follow me? And we need all of us. We need the educator. We need the therapist. We need the ex-hood. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because if God had intended for us to be the same, he would have given us all the same fingerprint.
Right.
And all the same DNA. I want everybody to be just like each other. But then we would miss the ones that we feel like are not part of our clique.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that.
So my misery has become my ministry.
Ah, you talked about
not my education,
right?
Not my degrees, none of that. It's the things that I've had to live, the ghettos that I've come out of.
Okay,
going to prison, to being shot. It taught me how to deal with the people like me.
Ah,
you follow me? And so if no one, this old Pastor Merriweather, old Baptist preacher who would never have said, I'm gonna make you a deacon, while I was coming out of the hood, gang banging. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna make you one of my junior deacons.
You talking about M.M. Merriweather?
That same one. Uh-huh. That's my dad. That's my pops in the ministry.
Okay.
I 25 years in his church.
Okay.
He was the realest man.
Yes, he was.
I've ever known to walk the face of the earth. And so when my pops died and I found his church, he became my pops until the day he died. I was holding his hand when he left.
Okay. You talked about where people are, meeting people where they are. And Terry, you spoke about earlier, not necessarily getting them not to do, but getting them to do. And I remember Dr. E.V. Hill, he had ministry for everything. And one of the requirements for being on, he had a hooker ministry, he had a pimp ministry, he said, and one of the requirements for being on there is that you had to be an ex one of those things.
Right.
So, and all of that connected to what we're talking about, showing creativity and using it. And I want to get there using it. And I know, Pastor, you got to go. So I'm going to wrap this up. Using those things to do.
Well, you got to go on at 7:30, right? Don't you have to? Okay.
Yeah. Using that to make a difference. Use your creativity. I use my wife tells me that I'm special, and I used to think it was a term of endearment.
Short but special. Huh?
Yeah. But being different, I've always been told that I was different. When the other kids put on their jean jacket, I'm dating myself. Well, I'm 60 years old. And so when they put on their jean jacket and their shirt hang out, they look cool. When I did it, it was sloppy. But people have their uniquenesses. And what I want to let them know is that they can use those uniquenesses to do business, to create things. And I want to get from you all before we go, creativity in business. You all are doing things. You have your own business, Pastor Terry. You having your own business. And let me take a second and drop this commercial right here. Anyone has you have a business, a book, a business, a product, or service that you want the world to know about, consider being a sponsor of the Encouragement Conversation. I guarantee you we have a package that will fit your pocket. So contact us at drshigg@gmail.com, drshigg@gmail.com. So Pastor BJ, tell us about your business. And you know, it's your business, but you help people in that business. So tell us about that, and people can be helped and utilize their gifts to get through different things. And then Terry, I want you to tell yours, and then I'm gonna give each of us some time just to speak to people's hearts and encourage people. Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Shigg. My business it kind of found me. One of my members passed away suddenly, and I was doing his funeral with 700-800 people, and I got a way of doing funerals where they're not sad and bringing to light what's going on. So I always take my phone out, and I tell everyone to take their phones out and take a picture, a selfie with the people next to you. And then I say, take a selfie with the people on the other side of you. And then I teach that a picture is just a picture until it's the only thing that you have left. And I can guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt, out of that 800 people, somebody on somebody's photo won't be there this time next year. And so people are always blown away by that. This one particular brother was blown away by that, who happened to be the insurance broker to the young man who I was eulogizing. And he was in his office amidst his 100 people the next day, telling everybody about this young pastor who did this homegoing service, and it wasn't sad. Nobody cried. Everybody celebrated. He gave away platinum plaques because the guy was a rapper.
Okay. Right.
And so what we did here is we put together a resolution from the church, but we made it as a platinum plaque. It looked just like that. Yeah. And so we passed it away and said he finally gave one to his mom and to his wife. He finally got his platinum record. Well, that blew everybody away.
I can imagine.
They don't know we worked day and night trying to get that thing together, but she put it together. And so I met this guy, Gary, who happens to be deep in life insurance. And I never had an interest to do life insurance. I never wanted Primerica. You know, that's a pyramid. And he taught me everything, saying, well, what's a pyramid? And I said, a pyramid is when the person at the top makes more money than the person at the bottom. He says, oh, you mean like a job? And I was like, oh, wow. So he put it in a perspective that nobody had ever put in a perspective before. And he promised me this. He said, give me 2 years of your life of full dedication, and I promise you, you'll never, ever have to work for money again, right? And so I didn't have nothing to lose. I'm going to be here for 2 years. So I got up under his leadership, followed him, let him coach me, and we are first year, part-time, $100,000 in the good. You get what I'm saying? And so now on a crusade to show people from a different perspective, because us as ministry and even the therapist, when it goes bad in the family, it's going to fall back on us anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to be the one to get the phone call. Hey, can you help me raise some money? Can you help us start a GoFundMe? Can the church donate something? So why don't we teach our people to be proactive instead of reactive?
Very good.
Last thing, in this, you keep calling it this thing that we're dealing with, and we all know what that is. I have 3 granddaughters who are of age, and then one who just turned 1 the other day.
Okay.
We, since we've been locked in, created something that I'm gonna pass off to you, and it's a children's book called Poppy and the Princesses. And it's 4 books, 1 book about each one of my granddaughters.
I like that.
So the first book is called Fear, and it's about a big dog that lives in the neighborhood and everybody's scared of. Well, my 8-year-old granddaughter is an artist. She draws pictures. She makes T-shirts. So she's going to do all the artwork. Myself and my 13-year-old granddaughter, we are writing the stories. Then my 4-year-old granddaughter, she's the advisor. She's the boss of all of us. And so once we finish this book, we're going to get some literary advice from you and then pass it off to you, or you tell us how to do it, because I truly believe I rock with my folks. You follow what I'm saying? And so
Right.
I know that's what you do. I don't do that.
Right.
I walk rings around you in the insurance industry.
Definitely.
But I can't tell you how to put a book together. So why should I when my brother does it? And we're family. And so, okay,
Right.
I'll pass it off to you. You tell us what we do from that point, and we'll make it a go. Here's the advantage that I have. It was written in one of the worst times in life.
Love it.
This company that I'm a part of, there's 136,000 licensed life insurance agents. What you think they're gonna do when one of their agents writes this book inside the coronavirus with these little kids?
Right.
You think I'm gonna have a problem selling that book?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So when I say take what you do and mix it with what he do and put a little something to it, and just, so I'm trying to show people what somebody showed me. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
My guy Gary wrote a book, did one book signing at one event, a Primerica event, and sold 10,000 books in one day.
Ah!
10,000 books. It's called The Preacher's Kid.
Right.
He wrote it and then took it with him to work at a convention that he was speaking at, set up a booth outside the convention in
Right.
this arena.
Right.
And they called him off the stage because it was a line wrapped around his book stand, like they outside them gun shops right now, right?
Right.
Wrapped around that stand, waiting for him to come autograph the book of all people who were agents that he works with. So why wouldn't I follow that same? If you're gonna lead me, I'm gonna follow.
Makes sense. Makes sense. How can the people get in touch with you if they want some information? They want to participate. How can they get in touch with you?
I can get in touch with you, and then you could. Here's
Okay.
my phone number. Here's my phone number, and you know, people don't do this. My personal phone number is 323-855-4476. I'm gonna say it again: 323-855-4476. That is my personal number right here. That's the number that my family has. It's not no sideline. That's the number. If you're serious about leveling up, going to the next level, growing your generational wealth, helping your family, especially getting covered, because we don't have life insurance. And if we do, we think we got some because we got it from the job. And that's not just the best thing. I want to educate you on what you don't know. All right?
Wow.
Hit me up.
Very
All
good.
right?
Very good.
Or BJ King on Facebook, PBJ on Instagram. You can. I'm easy to find.
And just for you all that don't know him, the number he just gave you, that's the number I called him on a little while ago. So that's the number right here on my phone.
Right.
So
you need to know this. You need to know this, Pastor. The generals, the most powerful general in the world is the one who knows how to use his soldiers. So you don't have to be tough. You don't have to be liked. You don't have to have a whole lot of self-esteem. You just got to be smart to know that I can make a phone call and get anybody on the line. We all are 6 degrees from separation. So which means you are only 6 phone calls from anybody you need to reach on the planet.
I like that.
You understand what I'm saying? And so walk in that. You have great relationships.
I like that. Walk
We'll come if you call, right, bro?
Yeah.
We'll come. And so,
like
I'm telling you, just know your worth. Stop minimizing it. You get what I'm saying? You're smart. You're kind. Everybody loves you. I don't know if you know that about you.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
I'm talking about you.
Oh,
I thought yeah. Everybody can't get me on the phone.
I know that's right.
Not on the phone, but I mean on their line. Like, who have you?
Right.
Have you seen me on anybody else's line?
None at
Do
all.
you think I don't get invited?
I know you do.
Yeah, but I don't rock with people that don't rock with me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you always trying to help me. Why wouldn't I try to help you?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Terry, let us know about your business, how people can get in touch with you. Let us know.
So I guess I got to start with the story behind it. I work for a nonprofit. Nonprofit is ABC Youth Foundation. It was started by Archie Moore, who was the light heavyweight champion of the world for 10 years, 12 years. But what I found out with nonprofits is a lot of them have the plan that they have for funding usually comes from the generosity and the gift of grants and donors. I wanted to kind of break away from that paradigm so that we're not just solely dependent on that. So what I did is I formed a corporation with the son of Archie Moore, Billy Moore, who is a boxing coach. He boxed and coached professionals, and he still does. And we put together a business consulting corporation. What we did with that is said, okay, the first part of that is we're going to monetize it with doing things and finding quality products that people don't normally get in the communities that we live in. So one of the quality things that we're coming up with alkaline water. Most people just think of water as water. Well, alkaline water has a pH balance that allows you to keep a balance in your body that allows you to be healthier. So it's just something that is good for you that isn't readily accessible. We took that, put it on its head and said, okay, now how do we make sure that the vessel that they're getting it in is something that is not harmful to the environment? So they have them in our first round, we put them in plastic ones, our first batch. So that's the ones you see behind me. But I decided I wanted to go with aluminum ones. So the next batch will be aluminum bottles, and that'll be our ones going in the future. So our company,
excuse me,
no?
That's the one that my case is in. That's
Yes.
That's coming to my house shortly.
Yes.
That I paid for a week ago.
That you paid for a week ago. Now tell them how we got to that point, because the light that you're using, anyway, that's another story. So
talk about that part.
Yeah. So we came up with the water. So it's mongoose water, named after Archie Moore, who was known as the old mongoose because of his style of boxing and his vitality, because he boxed until he was late in his 40s.
Yeah.
So this man won the championship when he was about 40 years old. Fought 240 fights, knocked out 140 people of those fights, which is unheard of, crazy. So what we sell is water. We're getting into hand sanitizer and also vitamin C. We'll also move into products such as boxing gloves, headgear, and sparring equipment. So that's down the road in the future. So that's what the company is. It's Mongoose Water. You can look it up. The website should launch next month. But as far as the YouTube page is already up, so we already have some of my commercials up there, and the water's available. For now, we're delivering free in Los Angeles and San Diego County.
Okay. How can people get in touch with you with information about the water, but also if someone wants to help ABC Youth Foundation, help the kids there, how can they reach you about that?
You can always reach me directly at tshigg@gmail.com. That's TSHIGG@gmail.com. Or you can go to our website, which is abcyouthfoundation.com, or abcyouthfoundation.org, excuse me. And then the Mongoose Water one, that'll be up at the end of the month, and it'll just be mongoosewater.com.
Okay, gentlemen, you have been extraordinarily helpful to the people, to the viewers, and to me also. I'm going to close this out. I just want to tell the people that are watching, these gentlemen have taken out their time because they're both busy gentlemen, pastor, businessman, father, husband, and father of a 5-year-old. So, but they've taken out their time. They've shared some things with you that will help you stop waiting for a change and create the change. Stop waiting for somebody to rescue you and rescue yourself. Right. As my granddaughter said one time when I was trying to help her with something, she said, "I do myself, Papa, I do myself." And so you're going to have to do some things yourself. And they've given you examples, personal examples. They've given you information and inspiration to do that. So I advise you to listen to what they said, because they're speaking from experience. And I want to say this before we close. As I've always said, your dream is doable. Go get it. Shameless plug. That's the name of one of my books. But it's in you. And I need you to know that it's in you. And each of them have said that we have creativity. Everybody has creativity. It's just in different areas. So use your creativity in your area to get you through, to get you through low self-esteem like I had to get you through bad situations, to get you through this corona thing that we're dealing with. But you've got it in you. And I need you to know that.
Yeah.
These gentlemen have said the same thing. You've got it in you. So just want to encourage you. If you're waiting for a change, create the change. If you're waiting for something special, create the special. Create what's special. And in the words of the gospel according to James Joseph Brown, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door. I'll get it myself. And so you can do that. And that's what I've been trying to say to you tonight with the help of these great gentlemen. So remember, the dream is doable. Go get it. Gentlemen, Terry, thank you. Pastor BJ, thank you so kindly. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
You, brother.
And as always, to our viewers, I'm continuing to tell you, oh yeah, let me do this. If you want to get any of my books, you can contact me, drshigg@gmail.com. You want to follow me on Instagram, EncourageMan, the letter EncourageMan. You can see some of my videos on YouTube to encourage you. But as always, move forward and possess your prize. And remember, the dream is doable. So you can go get it. Stay encouraged. Be blessed.